Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. Great to have you here at the Combine in Indianapolis all week. We're going to have tons of coverage, and I'm going to talk about the Combine in a minute. But I've got 5 subjects I want to talk to you about today, and then we're going to go hit the ground and begin covering the Combine. First, I want to talk to you about Jack Jones. He put a tweet out yesterday, and I retweeted it. You can go look on my X, formerly known as Twitter account, and find it. It's at Hondo Carpenter. But Jack Jones talked about people trying to get him to go out and recruit free agents. And he said, I believe in the guys in this room. I'm not going to go recruiting because I believe in them. And essentially what he's saying is, why would I go recruit guys to replace people in this locker room who I believe in? I thought that was fascinating. I thought that showed you a lot about Jack Jones. He has had a lot of people ding him and his reputation. I've told you I like him. I think it's a great environment for him to be with the Raiders, to be with Antonio Pierce. And I liked what he said. I believe in the guys in this locker room. I'm not going to go out recruiting and trying to get guys to replace him because I believe in the guys that are here. And it lent to something. I've been telling you all along, the esprit de corps in that locker room. Those players believe in each other. They're united. This is the most united I have seen the Raiders in the 5 years that I've covered them. I just thought it was fascinating. And so I wanted to throw that out there to you. I thought it was very good. I thought it was extremely powerful that Jack said that. And I think it tells you a lot about the locker room. Now, I'm not a fan. Most of you are. And I think all of us can think of areas where the team could upgrade and add some players. And what he's literally saying is, I believe in my guys. I'm sticking with my guys. And I'm not going to be out recruiting. It's a great answer. It's a great answer for his teammates. And I think it shows you a lot about Jack Jones's character. Now, I want to get to you about Josh Jacobs, and the Raiders are not going to use the franchise tag, which would be about $14 million for them. That is not a surprise. I've been telling you that they would not franchise him, but I've also been telling you at this point I expect a deal to get done. Both parties have harmony of interest. Both parties would like to remain together. Oh, excuse me. And I think that they understand exactly where they're at, exactly the position that they find themselves in. And I have no problem with that. If I had to guess right now, unless one part, and I don't think the Raiders are going to be stingy at all. So if I was reading it right and talking to people part of the Raiders, it's just going to be a matter of, they're not going to be stingy, but what's Josh want? And I believe Josh wants to be a Raider. So I'm saying it. I've said it all along. I expect the deal to get done, but there'll be no franchise tag. Now, Damon Arnette, I have told you multiple times this was a terrible draft pick by the Raiders, that everyone who knew him pre-college and college were stunned when the Raiders picked him. I got multiple texts from NFL executives, and this is why the Raiders are the Raiders. And I told you already on previous podcasts, I remember saying to Mike and to John, what were you guys thinking? I covered this guy in the Big Ten. And there's more that was known about him that isn't even come out yet. I'm not saying it will, but I mean stuff that isn't even out there yet. But sorry, it's early. But you now he's got gun and meth charges. It just goes to show you the importance of doing your research, the importance of the Raiders scouting system before Dave Ziegler and Champ Kelly got here was old and dilapidated and was mocked around the Big Ten, around the NFL. and they did what they wanted, but Ziegler put Champ Kelly in charge of restructuring it. Now the Raiders are an envy of the league. And this kind of stuff can't happen. And with Telesco and Kelly, it's not going to. Doesn't mean you may not miss on a guy, but they didn't miss on Damon Arnette. They knew. They just thought they were the smartest people in the room. And it's an indictment on John. It's an indictment on John. And I was told specifically it wasn't Mayock. I believe that. And it was John. And when you have a coach who goes by their gut, sometimes they're going to live by it. Some days they're going to die by it. Terrible draft pick. Far worse than Jamarcus Russell. Far worse. I have said this many times. The Damon Arnette first-round pick was the worst draft pick ever in the NFL because everybody knew this was out there. And the Raiders didn't care. Now I want to talk about Russell Wilson, and I want to talk about the importance of reading. We live in a hot take culture. Hot take culture. Where everybody wants to have the hot take first. So Ezekiel Trezevant writes an article about the Raiders should consider signing Russell Wilson. He's on my staff. I retweeted it. I do that with all my staff. Man, I started getting blown up, which is perfectly fine. I can handle it. But people, you're so wrong. This is dumb. Hondo, what do you think? Well, first of all, you didn't read the article or you would have seen I didn't write it. And number two, he laid out a lot of really good points. Russell Wilson was playing very well for the Broncos. And now you can potentially go get him for a league minimum. Listen, I get it if somebody says, I don't want Russell Wilson. In fact, I agree with that. I don't think you want Russell Wilson on the Raiders. That didn't change the fact he made a very germane argument. And it really shows us about where we are as a culture now, that people can't talk and have intellectual talks and discussion and bring up viable germane points. Everyone's got to be a hot take artist. And I promise I'm not mad about it. I just think a lot of you made yourself look stupid. And there's a lot of people that thought the Raiders were stupid for signing Jim Plunkett. There's been a lot of guys that have come to the Raiders that other teams thought were washed up. And people complained about it. Looks stupid. Be somebody who at least reads something before you comment on it. The article wasn't Raiders should sign Russell Wilson. It said they should consider to go get a Russell Wilson and then pick a quarterback in the draft along with Aiden O'Connell. All the money that they would save on a team that's not rebuilding. If I was Tom Telesco or Antonio Pierce, would I sign Russell Wilson? No. But that doesn't change. Zeke made some great points. Be someone who can know what you believe and not be intimidated or feel like you got to attack somebody who disagrees with you. I'm a strong person of faith. My nephew, Chase, recently doing a report in his school, and they had to interview several people. One of them was a strong person of faith, an adult of faith. And he said to me 3 questions for his paper. Does science and faith, are they opposite enemies? No. Number 2, can you be a strong person of faith and embrace science? Yes. Number 3, why is it that faith and science haven't gotten along? And I said, quote, because both parties have been guilty of being intellectually dishonest, unquote. Same way, football, everything in our life. Man, we got people on both ends of the political spectrum that say, if you don't agree with me, you hate me. How stupid is that? If the Raiders are going to be good, then they've got to look under every rock, which is what they're doing. And to just, no, lots of people read it and said, yeah, not for me. I have no issue with you. You're not the person I'm talking to. But when you start ripping it and you never read it, you don't look smart, and you make Raider Nation look stupid, and you make yourself look stupid. You should be able to have about improving a team. How many people ripped me for saying Patrick Graham was a great hire? How many ripped me when I talked about Robert Spillane was a steal last year? How many people ripped me when I said Greg Van Roten was a good signing? I said, not a Hall of Famer, end of his career, but a good signing. There's a lot. Good teams understand roles. We need role guys. And if you can, and again, I wouldn't bring Russell here. But that's not the point. The point is be intellectually honest enough that you can have serious conversations, but at least read what people say. Pay attention to that. That's important. We're not going to shy from subjects that we cover because it may trigger some of you. Grow up. We're going to cover every issue. And sometimes I'm going to disagree with some of my staff, but I still want them to write it, especially when it's intellectually sound like Zeke's article was. And he didn't even say do it. He said you should consider it. I think he's right. I think you got to consider it. I wouldn't do it, but I would consider it. And now that we're coming into free agent season and we're coming into draft and OTAs and mini camps, keep your mind open. Quote that lady from The Man from Snowy River, open your minds, have another beer. But be able to have intellectual discussions. I'm not feeling like you got to attack people. You know, and someone said, oh, are you mad? No, I'm not mad at me. I'm mad about that part of our culture. It's ridiculous. It's just stupid. Oh, you don't agree with me. You hate me. You hear me say all the time, I don't care if you disagree with me on social media. I'm not God. I'm not God. But you should be able to have an intellectual discussion and look at things, parse it, look at it from every angle. Remember the people who called Colton Miller a lost draft pick, failed draft pick? Some of you don't want people to remember. Same people that said Patrick Graham sucked. Just saying. Look at things. Be analytical. Then make an opinion. Lastly, I want to talk about the combine. We're going to be here all week. Tons of coverage. Tons of videos. We're going to be talking with Tom Telesco a couple times, Antonio Pierce, but we're going to talk to all the quarterbacks. We're going to talk to a bunch of the big draft picks. And it's important to me that you know a couple things. There are going to be things that I will learn that I'm not going to share with you. I will never intentionally do anything to hurt the Raiders. And if I'm able to learn a secret that should not be told, I'm not going to repeat that. Now, I'm not going to get on here, oh, I know something you don't. But I'm not going to be able to share everything because I'm going to learn a lot. I'm going to be able to share a ton with you because if it's stuff that I know other teams already have, just like last year, I knew that Dave Ziegler wanted CJ Stroud. I knew that Josh McDaniels wanted Bryce Young, but they weren't going to go to one to get him. I knew that. So I didn't use any names. Why? Wasn't trying to hurt the Raiders at all. Also, no need to get it out there. If other teams don't know, what if somebody would have dropped the 7 where they picked? But there's going to be a lot of great information for you. A lot going on in the interviews, a lot going on in the workouts that you'll get to watch on NFL Network. And we're going to have tons of videos and articles for you. Joined by Aiden Champion. Very excited to have him here for his first combine. Carter Landis, his first combine. And Braden Reedy, his first combine with us. A lot of great stuff going on. And I look forward to watching it with you, reporting on it. It's a lot happening. We'll have videos later today, so be watching for all the videos. Be paying attention. Going to have a ton of information coming your way. And we're excited to be part of this coverage of the 2024 NFL Combine for you. Remember, follow me on Twitter at Hondo Carpenter. Follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter at Hondo Carpenter, and on IG at Hondo SR. From all of us here at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, we'll see you all here on all the videos and back with another podcast tomorrow.